I've been married for 33 years to my wife, and we're both 55. We have 2 kids and 2 grandkids, whom we love dearly. We met at a nightclub in the 80s, where I worked as a bouncer. After our first date, we moved in together just 2 months later, and 2 years after that, we got married. We've had a good life together, balancing work and play while raising our children. However, I transitioned from a physically demanding job to a more sedentary one, which led to significant weight gain. This affected our intimacy. At times, I struggled to finish making love due to asthma attacks. We tried various ways to revitalize our love life, remaining monogamous throughout, especially since I had been cheated on in the past, making infidelity a firm boundary for both of us. We truly loved each other, believing we would grow old together. After 20 years of a dead bedroom, I decided to make a change. Over the course of 2 years, I lost 80 kilograms, 176 pounds, and underwent a tummy tuck. While it may seem vain, my motivations were threefold: to see my grandkids grow up, to improve my health, and to reignite our sex life. Thankfully, that worked. For the past 2 years, we've made love 3 to 4 times a week, and my wife has thoroughly enjoyed every moment. I always believed that my wife's body didn't lie. We were in a good place to enjoy our lives together. She still says she loves me, and I feel the same way. Throughout our 33 years of marriage, I've never cheated on her, and I'm confident she hasn't cheated on me either. It was just one of those things, until 3 days ago. She went on a holiday with her 2 sisters, traveling interstate, and I had no issues with it because I trusted her. We both knew that infidelity was a deal breaker for us, even after all these years. Our relationship has always been transparent. We had apps on our phones to track each other's whereabouts, not out of distrust, but for safety. We shared access to our messages and emails, and trust was never an issue. After I lost weight and started looking better, I noticed I was getting more attention from women, but I always brushed it off because I was happily married. My wife did express some insecurities about my newfound attractiveness, especially since she had put on some weight, but that never bothered me. I love her no matter what she looks like. I tell her daily how much I love her and how beautiful she is, and our intimacy has been amazing. I often regret that we didn't try harder earlier on to keep that spark alive. Then, just as I was finishing work and heading home, I got a call from my wife. She sounded very upset and asked if my sister-in-law had spoken to me. I said no and asked what was wrong, never expecting the words that would follow. She confessed that she had cheated and had sex with another man. She was so sorry and didn't understand what had come over her. I was in shock, and my heart just broke. I sat in my car, feeling completely numb as she continued to speak. She explained that she and her sisters had been enjoying a few drinks when a married couple joined them. They drank until 2 a.m., and when her sisters had already left to return to their room, the bar closed. She told me that she was very drunk and went to the couple's room to keep drinking and talking. They complimented her, saying how sensual she was and how lucky her husband was. Then, the man started touching her, and the wife encouraged it, telling her that no one would know and to just enjoy herself. My wife said it felt like it wasn't even her in that moment, but she ended up making love with the husband while the wife watched. In the morning, she woke up in bed with both of them, and in a panic, she ran back to her room. Her sister caught her, and my wife confessed everything. Her sister insisted that she had to tell me or she would. As she sobbed over the phone, begging for my forgiveness, I felt completely numb. I couldn't understand how she could throw away everything we had built together. She cried, saying she was so sorry and hated herself, reiterating how much she loved me and how she had made a terrible mistake. I corrected her, telling her that she didn't make a mistake. She made a decision. In that moment, I hung up on her and turned off my phone. When I got home, I sat in a chair, trying to process everything that had just happened and wondering what would come next. I cried over the loss of the wife I had known for so many years, grieving the future we had envisioned together and the impact her decision would have on our family. My life, as I knew it, felt like it was over. I shut myself off for the past 2 days, and when I finally turned my phone back on, I found hundreds of messages from her and her sisters. The last one said she was on her way home. My kids had also tried to reach me because their mother was calling them to check if I was okay and whether they had heard from me. I called my kids and explained what had happened, telling them I was as okay as could be expected. I let them know that I would be leaving home to sort myself out before she returned, and I asked them not to tell her where I was going. I needed to come to grips with the end of my marriage. I also sent a text to my soon-to-be ex-wife, telling her that we were getting a divorce and that I didn't want to hear from her. I expressed that I didn't care about the details anymore and that I was done caring about her. The pain was overwhelming. I never imagined her love could be shattered so quickly. I may ramble a bit since there's so much on my mind, and my thoughts keep jumping from one thing to another. To clarify, while our sex life had its challenges, it wasn't completely non-existent, but compared to the last 2 years, it felt that way. My previous active job was in the military, but I got injured during a training exercise, which led to a desk job and ultimately a medical discharge. After that, my wife and I started a small business together. Before I speak to my wife, I've had in-depth conversations with my sister-in-law and her husband. The story my wife told me was certainly different from what she initially confessed. My kids were horrified by what happened and just wanted to support me. I explained to them that while they may feel angry with their mother, she is still their mom and the grandmother of their children. She loves them, and what she did to our marriage doesn't change that. My wife and her sisters cut their holiday short and came home. I left a note for my wife, telling her to pack her things and go stay at her mother's house, which she did. The details of how everything went down are much worse than what my wife initially told me. Even though she confessed under the threat of being exposed, she didn't tell the whole truth, though that didn't come as a surprise. My wife broke down to her sister and apparently revealed everything. I won't know what to believe until I sit down with her. According to the story she told her sister, she loves me and our marriage and never expected to do this. She blames our lack of intimacy over the last 2 years for her need to explore what else she felt she was missing. She expressed that she had always been the attractive one in our relationship, but now believes the roles have reversed. This made her feel insecure, and she needed to be desired by someone else. She insists it was the first time, but she did plan it. It was a fantasy she acted on to scratch an itch, and she never intended to tell me. Unbeknownst to her sisters, the couple my wife met were actually customers of ours from out of state. I haven't met them personally, but my wife often spoke with them on the phone. She went for drinks to meet up with them, but her sisters tagged along, so they pretended to be strangers until they left. While she did drink, she wasn't falling down drunk. The 3 of them had this plan in place before they went away. My wife is coming over this afternoon to talk, and apparently, she's beside herself with worry about what will happen next. I already know what I will do. She chose to cheat, and now everyone will feel the repercussions. The truth about her infidelity makes it even more devastating to me and strengthens my resolve. I didn't cheat, and I didn't force her to lie. Her feelings about having lost me and her marriage are accurate, but I don't care how miserable she is. This was her choice, and no one else's. Now, we all have to deal with it. We are done, and we will have to navigate our changed lives. I had the talk with my wife yesterday. After so many years together, we both found it hard to sleep without the other by our side. That's how it's been for decades. But last night was the first night I slept very well without her there. When she came to the house, she walked through the door looking terrible, exhausted, guilty, scared, and red-eyed. Normally, my heart would break and I'd want to comfort her, but not this time. I was sitting at the table when she started to cry again, rushing in for a hug while blubbering about how she messed up and was so sorry. I raised my hand to stop her, telling her not to touch me and to sit down. She complied, and I offered to make her a coffee, which she accepted. As I made the coffee and returned to the table, her eyes never left me. She began to speak, but I told her to be quiet and just answer my questions, emphasizing that this wasn't about her but about me and the marriage. I told her that, at this point, we were done. She had made her choice, and now it was time for me to make mine. I had already decided, but I wanted to extract some semblance of truth from her. I thought that if she believed she had a chance, she might be a bit more honest. I told her I had spoken with her sister, which was true, but I fabricated that I had spoken with the couple. Inside, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Happy that she was so upset, but also sad for us, along with disappointment, anger, and all the typical feelings one might have. Yet, I remained calm, which seemed to frighten her the most. Honestly, it felt more like a job interview than a conversation. I asked her how many times she cheated. She said physically once and twice over video chat. I then asked her to explain how it all happened. She told me that their business conversations had turned to flirting, and when the wife said it was okay and got involved, it gradually escalated to her watching them make love. She admitted that it had always been a fantasy of hers to be intimate while the wife watched, and they were all for it. As she recounted this, she cried, mentioning that it felt dangerous, which only made it more exciting for her. When she started to share her feelings of insecurity, I cut her off, telling her I didn't want to hear her excuses or justifications. I had to wait about 5 minutes for her to gather herself before we could continue. I even got up to grab her some tissues, and she told me that they had met up as planned. After her sisters left the bar, they went straight to the couple's room. I asked her if she ever intended to tell me about this, and she admitted she hadn't. She described it as just a fantasy she thought she could fulfill, convincing herself she could engage in it without considering the consequences. I called her out, insisting that her past was now irrelevant. It didn't matter if she had cheated once or 1,000 times. The outcome would still be the same. The only ones who would truly suffer from her actions were our kids and her relationship with them, along with our future grandkids. I expressed my disbelief but made it clear that at this point, it didn't change anything. At that moment, she started to understand that I had no intention of reconciling after her betrayal. She begged me to work on our marriage, promising she would do anything, even allowing me to have affairs if it meant I would stay. She insisted she would never cheat again. I told her to really consider what she was saying. She had already degraded herself enough. I made it clear that I would never cheat in a marriage, and if I were to sleep with someone else, it would signify that we were separated with no chance of reconciliation. I reiterated that the last thing on my mind was infidelity. She reached out to grab my hand, but I pulled away, telling her I would never touch her again. It's not that I'm judgmental of anyone's lifestyle choices. That's their business. I understand that some people have affairs or open marriages, but the bottom line is that we didn't. The trust and respect between us were shattered when she decided to bring another man into our lives. I've always been a pragmatic person, and oddly enough, I felt relief. I told her we would make this as easy as possible for both of us. She took that as a glimmer of hope for our relationship, but I quickly clarified, no, we are done. I meant every word. I would never touch her again. I can't forget that she slept with another man. The woman I loved and married is dead to me. She died the moment she not only cheated but planned for it. All our good memories, our holidays, building our first home, raising our children, and all the laughter we shared are now just that, memories. We are going to have separate lives, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. When I do meet another woman, I hope to create new memories with her and find love again. She was shaking and crying when I told her this, but it didn't faze me. All I wanted was for her to leave my house. She struggled to continue the conversation, so I went down to the shed to reach out to my kids. When I explained what was happening, they were very supportive and urged me not to drag this out. Just finish it. When I returned upstairs, she immediately began again with the apologies, saying we could make this work. I sat down and stated clearly that we would sell the house and the business and split everything 50-50ths. I told her she could have the car, and I would take the truck and my motorcycle. I also informed her that she could keep the cats. Then I made it clear, don't call me, text me, or contact me in any way unless it's about the kids or grandkids. I will contact the lawyers and get the divorce process started. She's free to pursue whoever she wants now that she's a free woman. She told me she didn't want to be with anyone else, accusing me of being deliberately mean and unemotional. I responded that I was simply being honest. Her actions have put me in an emotional void. She is the only one to blame for the destruction of our marriage. No one else. I loved her unconditionally, and she's the one who messed it all up. After that, I left the house so she could sort through her things and take whatever she needed. I spent a few hours at my daughter's place, talking with her and playing with my granddaughter. When I got home, she had left, and honestly, I had the best night's sleep I've had in a long time, without her. Now, I'm looking at what the next 6 months will bring. It's been 5 hectic weeks since my soon-to-be ex-wife threw our marriage away. I've had a lot of time to reflect on my decision, and I still believe I made the right choice. I could never trust her again. The thought of touching her makes me sick. It was her decision to cheat and destroy our marriage for no reason other than thinking she could get away with it. She's still staying with her mother while I prepare the house for sale. We've lived here for 20 years, so there's been a lot to clear out and organize, but I've managed it. We've put the house on the market, and there are a couple of eager buyers interested, so I'm hopeful it will sell in the next week or two. The business has already been sold. Thankfully, one of our clients wanted to expand, and I accepted their offer last week. The settlement will take place in about a month. You always hear about divorce, but living through it is already a pain in the back. Here, you have to be separated for 12 months and a day before you can file for divorce. Then it takes 4 months for the divorce to go through, and that's only if it's uncontested. Property settlement is a separate issue and isn't handled until after the divorce is finalized. I don't plan on having any joint possessions left to settle, and as long as she continues to sign the sales contracts, it'll make my life a lot easier to move on. Her way of thinking is different, though. My son has only spoken to her once since all this started, and apparently, it wasn't a nice phone call. Just to clarify, my children are all grown adults with kids of their own. I told my son that it will take time, but she is still his mother, and she was a good one. I encouraged him not to let her decision destroy their relationship. My daughter, on the other hand, has been talking to her throughout this process. She's ashamed of what her mother did, but has been supporting her through the breakup. My daughter is very honest and gives her mother the full repercussions of her actions, warts and all. My soon-to-be ex-wife, however, seems deluded enough to think that I will eventually get over it and forgive her. She believes that all the years we spent together will be enough to make me change my mind, but she's in for a rude awakening. When she came over to sign the real estate contract, she told me that I would change my mind, that I still loved her, and that she would be a better wife when I did. She said we would still grow old together and have a wonderful life, calling this just a speed bump in our marriage that we would both get over. I was gobsmacked. I just looked at her and said she was effing nuts to think any of that. She lied and cheated in the worst way. She had another man's crap inside her while his wife watched. How could I ever want to touch her again? She said she knew she shouldn't have gone through with it and didn't know what she was thinking, claiming it wasn't even that good. I told her to shut up. I didn't want to hear if she enjoyed it or not. The point is, she effing did it. I told her we had zero hope of reconciliation, that I wanted nothing to do with her, and that I was looking forward to getting on with my life without her. I think she's in massive denial about what's happening and doesn't realize she no longer has any control over my actions. She's not entitled to her scheming and cheating while pretending we had a loving marriage. Her actions are why this is happening, and she knew that before she did what she did, so she can't be so naive to think otherwise. The funny thing is, I'm getting a fair amount of attention from other women now. I'm certainly not interested in anything with women at this time, but it's nice to know that when I'm ready, I'll have plenty of options. My soon-to-be ex-wife even got angry that women we know have been over to visit and bring me dinner, just to talk, of course. She told me she wants me to get it out of my system and that she will be waiting. I mean, seriously, how effed up is she? The only thing I want out of my system is her. My emotions are still a major factor. Hate, anger, disgust, the feeling of loss, betrayal, and sadness. But I am a strong man, and I will deal with them. My goal now is to focus on getting rid of any financial entanglements with my wife and get on with my life. 3 months down the track, and I've moved things very quickly. The business was sold, the house is sold, and I'm legally separated, waiting for the divorce waiting period. But for all intents and purposes, I have separated all our joint assets and am starting on the road to my new life. I never would have thought I'd be where I am today. 3 months ago, I had the life I wanted. A loving wife, a self-employed career, great family and friends, and a nice home. I was looking forward to having my wife with me for the rest of our lives. Then my soon-to-be ex-wife effed it all up for herself and our family by lying, cheating, and being disloyal. We had our problems like every long-term couple, but we always stayed true to each other. When she got caught, it destroyed me. The loss of our lives together was devastating, and I couldn't fathom why she did this. But this is where my life changed. For me, it wasn't what I wanted, but it was decided for me by my cheating wife. I am a pragmatic man who has always had strong family values, and this has made the transition to where I am now easier. I have made the decision not to let my feelings make me wallow in self-pity. I refuse to act like a victim. It gets you nowhere. With the sale of the family home and the business, after splitting everything equally with my soon-to-be ex-wife, I had enough to buy 2 small units near my grandchildren. My son and daughter live in different states with their partners and kids. I did this because I want my own space, but be close enough to visit. I'm currently working in a part-time role offered by a former business competitor, which provides me with plenty of free time to start enjoying life again. After a few weeks with nothing to do, I took my bike out for some rides. No set destination, just stopping for coffee and sightseeing. I spent evenings at pubs, enjoying a drink or two before heading out the next day. I've been surprised by how casual the relationship scene is, and I have to admit, I'm liking it. Over the past couple of weeks, I've connected with a few women without any expectations, just some fun and intimacy without emotional baggage. It's refreshing, and I'm feeling surprisingly good. Some people have asked if I've reached out to the couple my wife cheated with, but I see no need to do so. The decision to cheat was my soon-to-be ex-wife's, not theirs, and I have no interest in contacting them. They don't matter to me. I believe the best way to get back at a cheating partner is to show apathy and focus on your own life. Yes, the memories of what happened linger, but life moves on, and it's essential to prioritize yourself. My soon-to-be ex-wife seems to be in denial, thinking that once I calm down, I'll want her back. I've made it clear that our marriage is over and that there's no chance for reconciliation. I've told her I no longer care about her actions or who she spends time with. Our lives are now separate. My daughter mentioned that her mother feels sad and embarrassed about what she did, hoping to convince me to take her back. I told my daughter that will never happen. Her mother's remorse is rooted in the fact that she got caught, not genuine regret for her actions. Life has turned out quite differently than I expected, but I'm genuinely looking forward to what the future holds. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.